So hi there everybody, this is Lee Taylor and I would like to share some information about Yoga Nidra and what the practice of Yoga Nidra is. So Alexandra Horwood and I have co-founded Pause to Breathe, which is specifically for women to be able to restore and nourish themselves, take care of their well-being and be able to have more energy, more balance and more flow in their day-to-day life. And it's really about maintaining well-being. So for me personally, I don't believe in any quick fixes, and I am a firm believer that well-being is an effort of maintenance. So that if you are feeling low on energy or if you're feeling depleted, it's something just as we've created the habit of not being well, of being depleted, it happens over time. It isn't one singular incident that actually leads to being unwell or being out of balance. So just like that, being well and having an established self-care routine and having an established state of well-being is also something that takes consistent effort. It also takes some focus and discipline to apply that every day. And we don't have to think of these things as scary things. They don't have to be these huge shifts that we need to experience. But they need to be small little habits, incremental habits that we can do every day, just 10 minutes or 15 minutes of well-being and self-care that can actually make a huge difference to our well-being and a huge difference to our levels of energy and our health. Not only our physical health, but also our mental well-being and the way that we are able to be more at ease with day-to-day life, especially now during this time, this very stressful time of COVID, with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of lack of clarity about what's going to happen in the future, and also this feeling of being out of control. So I think when you are establishing yourself with a well-being and a self-care routine, these are ways that can help us to feel more grounded. These are ways that can help us to feel much more at ease and taking ourselves and the situation around us with the seriousness it deserves, but at the same time also taking ourselves lightly, being able to be more alert and more aware of what is happening around us, being more in touch with the emotions and the feelings that we are experiencing in ourselves, with the angst that's around the heart very often, being able to release the kind of tension in the body and also the tension and the angst in the heart. So I'll just say a little bit about my background. I've been doing meditation for it's almost 21 years now. And I've had a lot of training, working on myself and also doing a lot of meditation and extended times of retreat. But what is really the most powerful or most effective for overall well-being is that day-to-day maintenance, even if it's 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day. Sometimes we need more time to spend more time on immersing ourselves in deeper types of practices, in doing retreats, in having a weekend of wellness or well-being. But at the same time, I also think that it's most important to maintain well-being on a day-to-day level. So one of the practices that I've personally found is Yoga Nidra. And Yoga Nidra isn't specifically anything to do with the physical type of yoga with asana, except that you mostly do it in shavasana, which is the lying down or the corpse pose. That's the way that one can have most benefit out of it. But also you can do it sitting in a comfortable armchair. You can do it when you're lying down on your couch. Actually, you can even do it when you're on the loo. It's really one of those practices that if you become more and more familiar with self-care and self-healing, that it almost happens in a spontaneous way. What I've also found really, really powerful about the practice of Yoga Nidra and why I love to encourage others to do the practice and to try it out for themselves is that anybody from any age, in any physical disposition, is able to do the practice. It doesn't have the kind of limitation of where you have to be at a certain level of fitness or be able to stretch and be very flexible. This is really something for anybody of any age. The first time I did the practice, I was about 10 years old after a session of yoga. So it was all very new and very exciting for a 10-year-old, and this was a long time ago.
And I remember that that effect of the practice still today resonates with me, and that something so profound can impact a young person. So I know that this kind of practice can be for anybody. And I think that children are actually very receptive to this kind of practice because they are curious. They don't have so much judgment and so much limitation about what they can or can't do. They're willing to try and experiment. So I invite you also to have that childlike kind of enthusiasm to practice yoga nidra and see what it does for you. Maybe the first time you do it, there's resistance. This happens in the body. Often we are battling ourselves in many ways. So I think that this is something that needs to be tried a few times and to see if it feels right for you and if it benefits you. So I really invite you to play with that and to give yourself the opportunity to be able to relax. Not because I'm giving the practice of yoga nidra, but just because I really believe that the practice can really benefit you. And there's many people who are giving yoga nidra practices online. So I invite you really to experiment and to play and to see what type of style suits you best. Yoga Nidra has different types of applications. It also often has practices that aid more sleep. There's applications that are for more healing and more nourishment. And there's also applications that you can use in the morning for when you're waking up. Essentially, it's the same practice that you're doing at different stages. And sometimes you can even repeat the same practice over and over again because you've changed. Your mind is in a different state. Your mood is in a different way. Your physical disposition feels different on that day. So the practice is always different because you're always different at different times of the day. So I really invite you to experiment playing with different yoga nidras for a period of time, practicing the same yoga nidra and see what the effect is. One of the best ways, however, is if you do it through a guided practice, and you can do this before you go to sleep at night in bed. That's a very powerful way of being at ease because you're already in a relaxed state. So, setting up yourself for maximum comfort or relaxation with a good pillow or something underneath your head and your shoulders, just like you would naturally go to sleep. Lying down, usually on the back. You can lie on your side if it's uncomfortable on the back. Placing a pillow underneath your knees and making sure that you're covered, that there's not too much of a breeze. There's enough ventilation in your room so it's not stuffy, but also that you are warm and cozy. And usually yoga nidra is also done when you are lying still. And the reason for this is not that you have to lie still or that it's some kind of a punishment, but also just to relax the mind, because it has a deeper impact of creating more awareness in the body. So lying still, putting a cushion underneath your knees just to raise them a little bit, with the palms facing upwards. Or you can place the palms. What's very soothing, especially for women, is to place the palms over the belly. Some people also like to place one hand at the heart, one hand at the belly. You can experiment and see what feels comfortable and also what feels comfortable for that particular time when you are doing the practice. So I have a few guided yoga nidra sessions, from shorter sessions to longer sessions. The ultimate feeling of nourishment and the ultimate feeling of benefit is when you're doing longer sessions, but one can start and increase that incrementally day by day, doing 10 minutes, especially even if you're going to sleep, or if you're waking up in the morning and you're still a little bit fuzzy, but you want to wake up in a positive and happy state of mind, in a state of mind that's more calm, with a feeling of more tranquility, but at the same time not feeling sluggish, being clear and having good energy for the rest of the day. So starting the day very intentionally. What I really like about the practice of yoga nidra is it isn't something that has to be done sitting up. Many people uh, feel quite anxious about doing meditation because often when they're sitting upright, there's a lot of tension and a lot of strain in the body, especially if you have some kind of chronic illness or a physical ailment that you are struggling with. So what is very comfortable and comforting about yoga nidra is that you can do this lying down in a very comfortable position, and you can do this practice whenever you need. So really becoming more aware of what your body needs and what your mind needs. So that's why it's really beneficial to have a variety of practices of 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a really good amount of time for the body to enter into a state of relaxation, but also having a longer session, sometimes 40 minutes if you have a bit more time over the weekend or on an easy, slow Sunday morning. And it doesn't mean you have to get up and do anything. You just simply listen with your headphones in, and you can do the practice, and it can really help to release so much tension in the body and help to let the body let go and surrender a lot of angst and dis-ease in the body. So as I mentioned before, specifically Yoga Nidra is also for the practice of awareness. And how this works is that you're becoming more aware of the parts of your body. It's not necessarily listening to everything that is said, but by placing your awareness gently on those different areas of the body, you're becoming more connected and feeling more whole as a person. So you're creating that kind of awareness that's not only of the physical body, but also of the mental body and also of the heart. So this is a really good balance to create a kind of holistic healing and feeling of well-being in the body. When you're doing Yoga Nidra for extended periods of time or doing more immersive practices, then Yoga Nidra also starts to take on a different kind of more profound effect. And this is something that can only really be through experience of doing the practice over time, where you're getting more into the subtle, more sensitive states of mind, which is very, very nourishing, and also creates a state of much more awareness and a lot more subtle awareness about what is going on in the body and the mind, and also going actually beyond the body and the mind, getting into a very, very deep state of relaxation and a deep state of ease. There's a sense of real well-being that takes care and kind of washes over the whole body when you're doing the practice for more extended periods of time. So it's not necessarily like you're going into a trance or into a hypnotic state. Some people experience things like that depending on how receptive they are to the practice. But actually it's the sense of real ease. That's how I like to approach the practice, and that this kind of awareness and real connectedness, real attentiveness happens with the body, where it's not something that is external to you. You operating in your body is doing its own thing. You and the body are aligned. The practice also of Shavasana, this is where the yogic part comes in, is that Shavasana, even though it seems like one of the practices that is the easy practice to do, many people find it very difficult to lie down and just relax. Ironically, relaxing is probably one of the hardest things that we can do. So giving ourselves this time and space, becoming more familiar with the state of relaxation rather than with the state of anxiety and stress. Undoing these habits of always being in a stressed state or in an anxious state. This takes a practice to undo that again, as I was saying at the beginning of this podcast. This habit of becoming stressed isn't something that just happens suddenly. It's something that we build over time and then takes its toll on the body and the mind. So kind of undoing this, but in a very gentle and a gradual way that helps to give more ease and more relaxation to the body, and also on a deeper level to create this real sense of awareness and deep clarity. These days, a lot of practices are being done in prisons, in places of trauma. It can also be used for PTSD to help combat stress and strain. I know that there are many scientific publications that have been authored that are where people are practicing this in army and combat settings to help people to deal with post-traumatic stress. But anybody can practice this. It's the kind of practice that's really applicable for everybody. It's a kind of elixir that can bring ease and well-being to the body and the mind, but at the same time also bring a lot of energy and has a restorative function to heal the body and to soothe the body. Calm and tranquil and very clear about what is happening around us, having that resilience to be able to manage day-to-day life, day-to-day stresses, and also helping to transform the way that we approach our whole way of being. Wishing you to be happy and well, and looking forward to welcome you on the sessions of Yoga Nidra. Take care.